Hello, CFA Nation, Gabe.
Nick.
And we are here today to bring you guys another cricket reaction. That's right. Man, I'm excited for this one because if this is the video I think it is, we've had a whole bunch of people tell me about epic collapse. And, people talk about it all the time. They hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on Instagram. And if that's the video we're going to be looking at, Nick, I tell you what, it's what's the worst collapse you could think of in recent memory? I mean, a collapse that is just like, are you kidding me?
Oh man, I can't, and this isn't like a playoff situation, but I'll never forget. So, long story short, I used to collect World Series tapes,
Okay.
VHS then DVD, because I liked my team was never going to win it, but I liked learning about the story, even Yankees and all that kind of stuff. Like I would buy these tapes, I'd watch, it would go their journey and get to the World Series. And so for the one with I think it was Marlins and Indians in, was that 90, 98, 97, something like that. Anyways, they were chronicling the Indians' rise to the World Series. And there was a game that they played. I'm not sure who they played against, but they were down 12 runs, like after the fifth inning.
Right.
And they came back. I'll never forget in the highlight package, you got Kenny Lofton sliding in for that like game time run, that 12th run that they were behind. And the guy's going crazy. They came back from 12 runs down. That to me has got to be a huge epic collapse. Again, it was in the playoffs, so there's many more. I mean, I know what you're probably going to say, right? NFL?
Right? Dude, it's funny. As a Yankee fan, Red Sox coming back, I still remember it like it was yesterday. For game 4, Yankees are up that inning. You get the stolen base by Dave Roberts, the overthrow.
Stolen base heard around the world.
You know what I mean? Just all that stuff, whatever. They win that game. They come back and win the rest of the series. Gets the Red Sox their first championship in, what was it, 86 years or something crazy like that. That one hurt, okay? Well,
quick, before you go to the next one, real quick, what you're not mentioning, maybe you forgot, in game 3 when Yankees won that one, they won like 20-1 or some laugh like that.
Yeah, it was a laugh.
And I hate when teams do that, because sometimes in baseball it's like, save some of those for tomorrow, because they're only able to get 2 or 3 the next day.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal. And then the Knicks losing to the Pacers in the playoffs. Reggie Miller scoring 9 points in like 30 seconds. Bro, it was like 12 seconds. It was insane.
Steal the ball. Get behind the line.
Steal the ball. Wait, not just steal the ball and score. Step back behind.
That's what I'm saying. He scurries back there.
What am I
He could not miss.
Bro, it was insane. It was one of the most painful things ever. But the game that cost me a little bit of my life, I guarantee you, a little bit of my life. You know what I mean? The big guy up there was like, all right, that's at least a year or 2. It was Patriots versus the Atlanta Falcons, bro.
Could you imagine being a Falcons fan?
28-3, fourth quarter, 28-3 with 8 minutes to go. Fourth quarters, 4 quarters in football, people
clowning Tom Brady and the Patriots.
It was unbelievable. That till this day is the most painful thing I've ever experienced, okay? Not because of the gambling aspect. I'm from New York. Listen, if you're from New York, you're raised, and you're born and raised, you're bred to hate everything Boston, all right? Everything New England. You just loathe them, all right? Bro, I'm telling you, my oldest brother won't even eat like Boston baked beans or anything like that. You know what I mean, bro? He won't even eat New England clam chowder. It's got New England in the title. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, that's how bad it is. And that was like, yes, the Patriots, the mighty have fallen. The king is dead. And I'm making money off this. Yes, I did have a lot of money in the game. And Nick, it was like, I don't know, bro. No one can explain that game. Not a person alive can explain that game. I mean, bro, could you explain what happened? I don't think that was like divine intervention there, bro. I mean, I cannot.
I'll tell you this. For anyone, I'm talking about true sports fans, right? True sports fans that have been watching it for a while. A game like that epitomizes, defines, and proves the fact that momentum in sports is a real thing. There are people that that I know, individually or collectively, that will tell you momentum's not a thing. It's superstitious. It's this or that. No. Go watch that game right there, because that was. I'm not taking anything away from Tom Brady and all the guys on his team and all that stuff, but once the ball is rolling and it's going downhill, you're not stopping that thing, and they couldn't stop that. And with this video that we're watching today, I want to give a little bit of love to Cricket Raaz English, because Gabe and we reacted to a video not too long ago. And by the time we record this, I don't even think we've even posted it yet. But in that short time, this guy is really increasing subscribers, and he's dropped a few videos that have gotten huge views. The video that we reacted to of his, it had like 30,000 views, which is cool, right? His videos recently got millions of views. So I want to give this guy some love, not just because of success, but we really enjoyed the last video. And now we're going to watch this video called When Greed Reigns Supreme, the 1992 World Cup semifinal, South Africa versus England. I don't know anything about this story, which is why I'm so excited to watch, because I know this guy is going to explain and narrate it for us. But I was telling Gabe before we started recording, I'm pretty sure this was the World Cup. I thought England moved on, but maybe not. Maybe this is what people are always talking about, where they had some epic collapse. I thought it was in the final. Maybe it's right here in the semifinal. So we'll have to see what's going on here.
And I mean, you know, in cricket, batting collapses happen all the time. Listen, Nick and I sat through, what was it? 45 all out India in
36 all out.
36 all out. Like, he still knows 36 all out. You know what I'm saying, bro? And we see batting collapses happen all the time, whether it's in tests, whether it's in IPL. I mean, what was it? Your Tridents had to defend 80 runs or 90 runs and couldn't do it, bro. Couldn't do it. Epic batting collapse. So they happen in cricket, but I just feel that, you know, when it's a big moment.
How dare you with the drive-by?
He said, how dare you?
Gabe owns the CPL.
Oh, man. But you know what I mean, bro? Like, when those happen, don't they just take a little bit of your soul out? You know what I mean? Don't you just, as a fan, don't you pay the price?
You literally can't believe what you're seeing. You can't believe it. And, you know, I usually do a little bit of research into these videos that we're reacting, because you want to go in not seeing the video, but you don't want to come in completely blind. But again, I trust that he's going to explain it very well. If you don't know about Cricket Raaz, and this video right here is not just something that I saw and like, oh, hey, let's check this out. This is a request from on Instagram called the Mysterious Guy 25. He wants us to check this out, and Mysterious Guy 25 has been a huge viewer of ours. But I mean, I trust this guy's video ability to narrate and to give us the good stuff. Check out his channel, like and subscribe. We're going to reach out to him and make him an official friend of the CFA Nation. But go ahead and throw some love. Let him know that Gabe and I sent you to his channel. But don't forget to like and subscribe here after you check out his channel, or before, and like and subscribe over there. But Gabe, let's go ahead and be educated here.
Let's do it.
All right, give us a countdown.
In 3, 2, 1. Oh man, look at that.
12 minutes.
22 runs.
22 off 1. It's over.
Was 12 minutes. To convert a thrilling semi-final of a World Cup into the greatest farce ever to be enacted in cricket. To go from 22 runs in 13 balls to 22 in 7 to finally 22 in 1 ball without a single ball being played.
What?
Cricket was being laughed at. And what truly pisses me off is that all of this could have been avoided, but they didn't, because of money. This is the story of the day. Greed killed cricket.
I'll never understand.
So our story begins late in 1991.
Over your competitive nature.
South Africa had just come out of its 22-year exile from cricket due to its apartheid laws, and was slowly beginning to regain its cricketing presence. Still, the chances of them playing in the upcoming World Cup, to be held in Australia and New Zealand, seemed minimal.
It was something that we could only dream about. Being part of that very first ICC World Cup in '92 and going to Australia and New Zealand was something immense.
Firstly, because the time frame was too small, but more importantly, because apartheid laws were still not repealed in South Africa. For those of you who may not know, apartheid laws were a series of laws and legislations that were passed to segregate and discriminate against blacks, mixed races, and people of Pakistani and Indian origins. They couldn't marry white people They couldn't vote and even forced to live in designated areas.
For not often appreciated in Britain is the fact that before the diamond and gold industries started the influx of coloured labour, South Africa was a white man's country. There, the white man is the native, not the black.
Still, the African National Congress, the party led by Nelson Mandela, had lobbied that South Africa be allowed into the World Cup. And the ICC agreed on one condition. They wanted a positive outcome on the referendum to end apartheid. It was a referendum in which 2.8 million white South Africans were going to determine the future of 22 million people of other races. The problem was that this referendum was to take place during the World Cup tournament. So a compromise was reached. South Africa would play in the World Cup, but they would be sent back mid-tournament if the referendum didn't succeed.
The fact that there was a referendum going on in South Africa, so we were not yet a democracy. Because we were told as a team that if the referendum is no, we'll be ejected from the tournament. It was halfway through the tournament.
So, 22 years of cricket exile and possibly the last few games they will ever get to play on an international stage.
22 years.
Absolutely no pressure, right?
It was that this could be our last game. We could have to go back home. So we just kind of played and enjoyed every single game.
They defeated the defending champions Australia in the opening match, and amidst glorious runouts and breathtaking knocks,
See that dive?
South Africa,
Insane.
against all odds, had made it to the semi-finals. But whether they actually got to play the semi-finals was to be
You're gonna call me
decided
crazy,
in
but I
the
love their
referendum
jerseys.
to be voted just before the semis. And in that referendum, 68.72% people had said yes, apartheid had ended and the country was reborn.
Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another.
The stage was set for the South African cricket team to win it all and bring it home as the perfect gift for the inauguration of this new South Africa. And so started the match.
Sydney Cricket Ground, the venue for England's semi-final against South Africa.
South Africa won the toss, and in a shock
Sorry, Coley.
to English players,
That's how it's
commentators and crowds, decided to ball first. I know what you're thinking. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal was that there was a miraculous rule figured out by some genius to deal with rain interruptions. It was called the rain rule. Now, according to the rule, in case of rain, the least productive overs from the side batting first were to be removed. So, for
Tell me
example,
Duckworth.
if you played 10 maidens
Duckworth rule.
in the first 50 overs and then rain reduced the chase to 40 overs, then now, as the least productive overs would be those 10 maidens where no run was scored, the target would
So
remain
stupid.
unchanged. Throughout this World Cup, teams had met with tragedy after tragedy after tragedy under this rule. The most absurd one was when England bowled out Pakistan for 74. That means they had 50 overs to score 74. But it rained for 3 hours. And according to the new rule, England now had to score 64 in 16 overs. Well, at least that match was washed away. But there were many such incidences where this rule had practically
Jeez.
destroyed
Is this
games.
even before Duckworth?
It was like a plague
I think so.
to be avoided at all costs.
Gosh.
And the South African captain, winning the toss, decided to take it on. When asked for the reason,
Kepler not too worried about the rain?
Yeah, it is a calculated risk, but
well, the idea behind this calculated risk was that they had won all the 3 games when they chased, whereas they had lost 3 out of 5 when they were batting first.
Wow.
England, on the other hand, had won 3 out of 4 games while chasing, including one against South Africa
It's like we were
themselves.
saying with IPL that one
So,
year. You
South
wanna
Africa
chase.
decided to test their luck, especially since they would be helped by another newly minted genius level rule, the time restriction. Now in 1992,
Jeez.
the co-host Australia was one of the most commercialized countries when it comes to cricket. And because of the profit that the organizers were earning through broadcasting rights, they had given up complete control over the match timings. So, in essence, a channel on a TV was going to dictate how long a match could go for. If they said that an inning should end by this time,
Yeah, that's
then it
American
should.
sports.
Well, if you can't, the inning is over
TV
either.
timeout.
The clock's just moved to 6:10 on the main scoreboard, so if that is a tactic, it's worked very well for South Africa.
And that's a rule that has to be changed for the next World Cup. You can't have a side only receiving 46 overs in a lot of time.
And
Jacked
that's
up.
exactly what the South Africans did. By the time the allotted hours were done, only 45 overs were bowled. But the innings
52,
was over.
and the players coming off the ground after 45 overs. That's a disappointing aspect. They only received 45 overs.
Now, do understand here, the organizers at any point could have interfered with this and dealt with the financial complications to extend the time. But that costs money. And how can a trivial semi-final of a World Cup stand in the way of money?
Exactly.
Right? So, the English team was deprived of its log overs.
I love his
And
sarcasm.
South Africa
awesome.
just had to chase 253 in 45 overs to win. But the English team wasn't going to take this lying down. Enraged by the sheer absurdity of these rules, they went on full offensive. Wicket after wicket, very tight bowling, they were determined to make each and every ball count. And finally, when the dust settled, South Africa was left reeling on 131 for 4 in 27 overs. Still, standing in front of this enraged players were players whose careers had got a new lease on life. If they had to go down, they would go down swinging. And
Jaunty
swing they did.
Rhodes.
First, Jaunty Rhodes played an electrifying 47 runs of 31 balls, which was then followed by Macmillan and Richardson, who scored 25 runs in the next 18 balls. This left only 22 runs required in 13 balls. The match was living up to everything cricket stood for. Two teams hell-bent on leaving everything in the field. And then it started raining.
And they're coming off. The crowd will roar here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. It's certainly quite steady. A very difficult situation for the umpires. It's getting heavier by the second.
As the South African players slowly ambled back to the pavilion, seemingly hoping that they could just stay there, just for some more time. The whole world was glued to their TVs, waiting with bated breath, hoping that all the players could come back out again, hoping that they could just start exactly where they left off. A match like this deserved to be decided on the field, didn't it?
Not one person's going to leave the Sydney Cricket Ground.
But the broadcasting channel had other ideas. They had a deadline to follow, The match had to end by 10:10 p.m. by hook or by crook.
I
The
did
thing
not
is,
expect this,
the
bro.
competition rules had actually allowed for a reserve.
Ridiculous.
And even though this situation didn't completely fit the norms, seeing the absurdity of this flawed rule, they could have appealed and tried to make an exception. But the host broadcasters were adamant. The match had to be finished on that day itself.
It's quite ludicrous that the captain of a team in the semi-finals should have to worry about such an imponderable. Can one forgive those that invented these rules for spoiling a world event?
And so it was that the rain rule was applied. And the least productive overs for England, that means to brilliant maiden overs by Pringle, would now come back and hurt them. And as if enacting a damn comedy, even this information was relayed incorrectly. The crowds and players were told that they still had 7 balls left. The South African players walked into the field to meet this difficult but not impossible goal. And just then, they were informed that they now only had 1 ball. 1 ball to score 22 runs.
Jeez, no.
One ball remaining. Although the official announcement was made
Oh
just a
my
moment ago
gosh.
that there are 7 balls remaining.
The crowds went into an uproar. The South African batsmen were
Imagine
in
the
utter
riots.
disbelief.
I'm thinking
Even
that
the
could never
English
happen in
captain
America.
was
It would tear the
arguing
stadium
about
apart.
the sheer stupidity of the situation. But none of that mattered. The decision had been made. Amid the crowd's jeers, a dejected Macmillan played the last ball, and the disheartened South Africans, with an equally disappointed English players, started walking back to the pavilion. The clock behind them stood still at 10:08, 2 minutes away from the scheduled deadline. The deadline had been followed, but cricket had died. Still, in an outstanding show of sportsmanship, the entire South African team had come out to shake hands with the English players. And for the sheer love showered on them throughout this match and the tournament, they did a lap of honor for the crowd. They were disappointed, yes, but rules were rules, they said. Yes, rules were rules. But these were rules made by a broadcasting company. A dream of a resurgent cricketing power had stopped in its tracks, just so that a channel can earn some more money. This was the story then of the day cricket was killed at the hands of greed.
What did I tell you? This guy has
good.
Done an amazing job.
He is really good.
Man.
Nick, you're a writer, and for many of you that don't know, Nick is actually a published author, and man, his writing style, because obviously he wrote this script, right? Or at least somebody's writing this script, but the way he delivers it and sets it up, he's really, really talented. He tells a story. You know, it's easy to just put together the clips and say, okay, here's the clips, here's whatever, here's what happened. But the way he narrates the story, I know it takes a lot of time, you know what I mean, to have a script and be able to do it that way. But then to put the effort, and it's almost poetry the way he writes. You know what I mean, dude? He's a really, really good writer. I'm super impressed by this video. First of all, we were completely off base. This is not what we thought it was about, but it is what it is. That's why we want to give you our authentic reaction, so we don't like peek at the video beforehand. And sometimes, we get it wrong. It is what it is. But this was even worse. And Nick, wow. What are your thoughts right now, brother?
Well, just to piggyback on Cricket Raaz here, and I'm not blowing smoke. This guy, I'm really, really impressed because Gabe's right. Like, I've never done a video like that. I did my my anatomy of a cricket rant for Gabe.
Anatomy
That's the closest thing.
Of a cricket rant. That was a great video, by the way.
And I appreciate that. The hardest thing about that is, yes, you have to do your writing. You have to figure out what your script is, what you're going to say, but to time that to the amount of clips that you have. And me just trying to break down one video into like a 7 or 8 minute clip and then have the script to go with it was difficult enough. This guy is using footage from all different avenues because he has to avoid the copyright laws. He's got to stay within fair use or whatever. And then to have that narrated, but not just that, but the timing too. This guy gets emotional when he's doing his narration. This guy is like an actor, a voice actor.
Right.
I mean, it's super impressive. And so you're right. The writing was fantastic, but also his emotion did a great job. I mean, like you said earlier, his sarcasm, I love that. But as far as this, one thing I'm very happy about is that it wasn't the players who had taken some money, like a Black Sox scandal.
Right.
Because that, me being Dave, that's where I first went to, like, these guys took money to get out of it.
Like, not a ball played? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, what?
The 10-10 timeline drives me crazy. And Gabe's right. Now, this was 1992, okay? But nowadays, this would never happen in America because what happens is I watch my Padre games just about every night. I'll fast forward through if I don't have a lot of time or whatever. But one thing that drives me crazy is with the streaming service I have that broadcasts the Padre games, it only goes 3 hours. And it will not allow me to extend that time. I have to record the program after that and the program after that because most games, Gabe knows, does not end in 3 hours. Usually 4 or 4.5. And so on the channel itself, if the game goes past that allotted time, it just goes over until the game's done. They would never think about just cutting it off. And not just cutting it off. Like, that would be blasphemous enough. You guys can't see the end, even though the game's still happening in San Diego. But can you imagine them dictating and telling the players, our time allotment is over at 10:10. I know you guys are in the 6th inning right now, but you're going to finish in 15 minutes. Could you imagine telling the players that? Could you imagine telling the teams that? To me, and this is not an America thing, but that would never happen, hopefully, anywhere in the world nowadays. Right. But the fact that it did happen, the fact that it was in a lot of time, and we got a program at 10:10 moving on, we can't give you any more time, is just absolutely ridiculous. And the last thing I'm going to say before I turn time over to you, the saddest thing about this, and again, Raaz did a great job of illustrating this, South Africa, apartheid, all that nonsense, all that garbage, right? They were out of cricket for 22 years.
Right.
They were given a chance. And what did they do with that chance? They took it and they ran with it. They got to the semifinals. And you would think 22 on 13 balls, not a guarantee, but very, very doable for a hungry South African team. You would think that would have pushed them off to the finals, and who knows what would have happened. I think 1992 was the year Pakistan won it, so maybe Pakistan would have won it anyways. But the fact that this nation and these fans that waited all this time for international cricket, that they got screwed. And you can tell the England side, they're not like Nick was, or Nick would be like, ha, 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 we won. But they were dejected too because they wanted to earn it. That's the worst thing to me.
I mean, here's the thing. First and foremost, you jeopardize the integrity of the game. And that's what you did. You jeopardize the integrity of the game. I know a lot of times, when we speak, it's a lot of hyperbole, right? A lot of exaggeration, tongue in cheek. But no, right. He's right. You killed cricket this day. That game, that World Cup, that doesn't matter. That's in no one's mind should be a legit match, okay? Because just the way they did it was so ridiculous that like you said, they dictated what was going to happen in that game, and it's unheard of. It's uncalled for.
Uncalled for, exactly.
For me, one of the most upsetting things is understanding. You got to athletes have dedicate so much, and I come from a family of athletes. I was a former athlete myself. I got a kid in college playing ball, another one in high school. You don't know the birthdays. You don't know the family gatherings, the holidays, the things you miss because you're training or because you're with your team or because you're away. Okay. And it's one of those things where it's like, forget about the politics of what's going on in the country at that moment. We're here. We get to play. We get to represent our country and finally put it in a positive light. And you're going to take this away from us over, exactly like you said, over money, over advertising money, over dollars. I would boycott that network and hope they went out of business. I would never watch that network again because they were that's disgusting what they did. They killed the game, in my opinion, that day. Another thing that came to mind, Nick, is that when we're recording this right now, day one of the world, the very first WTC championship, it's already stubs, right? On stumps, and it was stumps before a ball was bowled. I said it. We talked about this. No contingency plan, knowing how rainy England is, knowing what I don't understand how this has been something for add more days. Bottom line, it's not rocket science.
And what do the rules say? They were going to have one extra reserve day or some nonsense like that. That was in the rules.
Add more days.
Why not just say this? We're having 5 days of test. Now, if it gets stumped like after like the 50th or 60th over, or even the 40th over, that's cricket, right? That is what it is. But before a ball gets bowled, I would say 5 days of test cricket by hook or by crook. By hook or by crook. And again, that includes second session to get rained out. Okay, that's 1 day. That stumps. But before anything happens, they have that 1 day reserve. But that's what they should have said originally, is just we're getting those 5 days no matter what happens.
I just do not understand it. It's flabbergasting to me. And it's so infuriating to me because I'm sure it's got something to do as well with, TV contracts and rights and whoever's broadcasting it, whether it's Willow or
Hotstar.
Or or Hotstar or whoever gets it, ESPN Plus. We've got something else scheduled after that, so we got to get it in this window. The greed, it drives you crazy. How many boats can you have? How many yachts can you have? How many mansions can you have? When you die, you can't take it with you. God, you need to leave it to some unappreciative relatives that don't even care. You know what I'm saying? That it's infuriating.
And guess what? When those people do die, and no one's going to be sitting here like Gabe and I talking about how many yachts and boats they had before they died. but we're going to be talking about 1992 semifinals. I mean, that's people's lifeblood is sports. And even if it's not your lifeblood, you love it and you follow it. And it's just, and not just that, but I love also Cricket Raaz mentions the rain rule. Explain to me, your man goes out there and bowl, I think it was Pringle, he said, bowls 2 million overs. In ODI, I mean, it's happened before, but it's still pretty cool. Bowls 2 million overs. And that hurts his team because it was a non-interested over. Now, that's where I'm going to jump on the Gabe bandwagon for 2 seconds and say offense obsessive, right, in sports. All about the offense. A maiden over should be celebrated by the side that had it, not, they got destroyed. They lost 12 balls because the guy bowled 12 dots? Are you kidding me? To me, that makes zero sense. And think about that. We're talking 12 balls right there. I get it in cricket, a minute and a half, 2 minutes per ball. But we're talking about 20 minutes to get the game. You already screwed the game earlier with the rain rule by losing 5 overs on each side, but at least it was fair.
Right.
I mean, it makes no sense. The new rule's not much better. I mean, honestly, ICC, send me and Gabe like 20 grand. We'll get you a rule that works for everyone, for crying out loud, because that makes no sense.
Listen, he's a smart one. I'll do it for free because apparently they ain't got thinkers up there, cousin. They can't figure it out. It ain't that complicated. Jeez, dude, it's just so frustrating, Nick. The one good thing about it is I think that you see this, and people always say cricket's a gentleman's game, and coming back out, I'm sure there were tears in the eyes, bro. I'm sure these are grown men, and I'm sure that there was a lot of pain. But they came back out, they shook hands, the entire team, with England, and then they gave a lap for the fans that were there, because it's not the fans' fault. The fans were as dejected as they were. You know what I mean? Like, that just shows you the spirit of cricket, the spirit of fandom, and of the game. You know what I'm saying? And man, stories like that, like, wow, Cricket Raaz, well done. I mean, we subscribed last time after we saw the first video, but I am really, really impressed at his ability to narrate. It's like video essays. I love listening to video essays. Usually I do them on, I listen to them on certain films that guys like to do them on, but man, he did a fabulous job. I can't gush about it enough.
Absolutely. Once again, CFA Nation, you know who you are. Hook this guy up with some love. He's getting a lot of love, deservedly so. Most of you probably already seen this video, which I'm not surprised about. But thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for the request, Mysterious Guy 25. And don't forget to check out CFA every day to see what's going on every other day. With all that being said, until next time.
That's 6 runs.